Welcome to the buymeacoffee.com/James Poetry, the coffee tips page that supports my James Poetry creative productions and work. See also jamespoetry.online. Hello, Perceptive Reader. Along with the graduation season that we are in, happens to be the year of 2025, we also have the season of hope and gratitude. Um, I've been talking to you at least this past week about uh, the ransom, the gift that Jesus Christ had gave the whole world. And today, in this season that we are in, it happens to be a day where many people around the world, different backgrounds, different languages, and different even cultures, all have this one mind, excuse me, one mind set that they are appreciating what Jesus did for them through that ransom sacrifice. Others will continue to learn why it was necessary for Jesus to provide this sacrifice for all of mankind, all of humankind, all of womankind and children. But what I still want to zoom in on is that this gift that Jesus provided, that the scriptures clearly talks about, even in the Psalms and Isaiah, that it is priceless. You can't even put a price tag on it. You can't put a price on Jesus' life or his ransom sacrifice. It's priceless. The benefits will actually take us all into eternity. And how is that the case? Because people who accept that ransom sacrifice, even the ones who have died, they will live forever. That's a fact. And I know it's a fact that it's still hard for some to believe in the beginning of first hearing it. And this is one of the reasons why I emphasize persons should read their Holy Bible every day, even if it's one passage. It is not something that anybody is going to make you do, but you should do it, and I'm myself included. With that, every human being, every thinking person, every spiritual minded person should read at least one passage every single day in God's word, the Bible. And that was so important that God even told his prophets to relate to the kings, even to put it in the law, that if you are appointed to be a king in this way or that way by God, way back then, he told them to not only read the Bible every day, but they were also supposed to make, now listen to this, a whole copy of the law themselves in their own hands. You see, with their own writing, human writing, that was also the king's charge, to not only read the law, but to write one for himself. And that was my understanding. But you know something? I hope I didn't get ahead of myself, because, I wanted to tell you about this next point. Now you can see why even King James, you should see way back, I forgot how many thousands, hundreds of years ago, what have you, that even King James, people know of the King James Bible, the version. And see, now I know I'm going to look this up. And the reason why I'm laughing about this, because remember, even the kings of England, King James actually has a translation that has an updated version now for our day, as well, to the common language, the way that people speak. Even though, some people tell you he may not have had the best reputation, but he at least tried to adhere, to that law, if you will, that, well, I'm gonna at least have a Bible. I'm gonna at least do this. And, I don't know whether he was thinking like that at all. I'm just making a joke. But see, the whole point is, God really did, back in, starting with Moses, was like, he set aside instructions that he already knew one day. See, it goes to show you the way that God is. He already knew one day that the people were going to want to look like the nations so much that they were going to reject him. That they were going to reject him from just dealing with him directly through, one of his prophets, or what have you, like Moses. And so he already started having in the law, when it was created, that basically, when these people don't want to deal with me no more directly, this is still what I'm putting in place, for the king that will sit on my throne instead, since they don't want to deal with me. I'm having a, I'm getting out the other day. I said I won't go do this, but I can't help it. It's just happening. And so anyway, it goes to show how important it is to read the Bible every single day. God put it on that level of the kings, and different ones throughout the centuries still certainly show that if they didn't always have the best character in other situations, they at least wanted to still have some type of connection with God in that way. And that's just my extended, just a thought on that, personal thought on that. Now, the other point about this day is this: it's the free gift that God gives that is accepted by a person, and it's offered to the whole world. It's like, it's no condition to have to, observe, to be able to observe a day like this, the Lord's evening meal. It's certain manners and respect and dignity that people just take for granted. That's why, and here's what I mean. There are some ways of comporting ourselves that people really, we normally take for granted, that, we were taught these type of manners or what have you when we grow up, while we were growing up. So the whole point is, when I say there is no requirement, the whole point is, if I have to get specific, is this, I shouldn't have to say, you be respectful when you're listening to the, to the speakers, or the shepherds or administrators, wherever you may be at, observing the memorial of Jesus' death, or the Lord's evening meal. You see what I'm saying? You be respectful, y'all. You don't try to join in, if you will, over talking persons, and trying to, pick an argument or what have you. See, these are things that you just take for granted that people know. So that's why I continue to just say straight up, it's no requirement for you to go and be able to observe a day like this. You see what I'm saying? Because you already know what the love of your neighbor entails, and especially on a special event for many people on a day like this. So I wanted to share that as well. And so that's all I, just want to share with you today. I hope everything is working out for you. Remember this, that tomorrow you may be back busy doing business and other stuff, trying to, make a living in this world. And I want to remind you that even though there are some situations with technology, I was thinking about a report that I heard today, and it was along the lines of the economy. And it was talking about tariffs and things of that nature. And one of the things that was mentioned by a billionaire, I believe, a billionaire had mentioned, is that the reason why it's not fair in trade and things of that nature at times is because here in the United States of America, basically, I'm putting it in my words because, I've talked about this before. In the United States of America, you can at least avail yourself of the courts and the justice system to at least request a hearing. Do you see what I'm saying? And for the most part, whether people fully appreciate this structure and our legislative branches, regardless, as I mentioned before, it is still in those three branches. When you got honorable persons, you know what? It has still kept the United States sane, no matter what other stuff that people still know. Just like as one peace officer mentioned, if they weren't around, then things would be a lot worse. And I know that's a fact. So still, let me get right back to the tariffs. So the whole point is, he was just saying, well, really, with the court systems that we have in place, the justice systems and so, even for business, see, it's used, it's open, almost like anybody can make a complaint. You see what I'm saying, or what have you. And it may take some time to have your day in court, but you know what? You at least are on the books. You see, you can eat at least once you get your I'm always talking about nomenclature because every file, has a number with it or what have you, and you can continue to build a paper trail in this way, which you're supposed to be honest with what you're doing, and because it can all be verified, the courts and judges, blah blah blah. But see, this is the point that I want to really emphasize, is that you're able to resolve matters this way, hopefully. You see, it's open to do that, but there are other places in the world where it isn't. And the reality is, if you don't even have a certain type of status, a background, a certain social view, you can't even use it even when you're within that land or culture. And that's the other point about, and it's really, a sad feeling that comes over a person sometimes, just to even know that persons are just not even looked at being able to be valued enough to have their voice heard, a legitimate complaint. And this is one of the things that you also learn from the Bible that I told you. It made him angry when he found out, where he already knew, when he saw that poor people, could not have their voice even heard, that justice could just run over top of them or ignore them. And that's one of the things in the law that he put was not supposed to happen. See, God, he already shows what people have to deal with today. But see, what he was still saying about tariffs is that the reason why the trade and everything is lopsided or what have you, where people, our products, can get a tax put on them by the country or what have you, or we have to pay more to even ship to this area for them to accept it or what have you. And yet then, it's not, it's not balanced. And the point is, we know everything isn't going to always be a balance. We know that, but here's the problem. The problem is this. I'll be doggone. The problem is this. It can become painfully obvious just how unfair a situation comes up at times, where people are, start to say, no, not only are you not buying my products or what have you, not only does it seem like you even price gouging me in this area or that way, but no, I'm really starting to feel like these are some seriously monopolized, unfair business practices that you got going on here to strip me of my minerals and resources as you basically squeeze me out the commerce, the financial arenas of the world. You see? And that's possibly what's going on in some cases. I could give specific on why, I don't really even understand if tariffs are already going on, at least between countries, then as citizens, even of the United States, then why do we inside the land have to put heavy taxes on one another in this area? For example, the United States, the way that some people still actually are proud to say, is really able to be self-sustaining, self-sufficient, um, can create everything that it needs even within this land. So the reason why tariffs are supposed to work, because apparently, when a leader sit up there saying, well, we're going to start putting tariffs because we already got everything we need within this land. Now, for years, we did this in this way to help you all out. And you all took advantage of it to the full. I'm making a joke. I'm being a comedian right now. So, I mean, that's the way some people can talk. It's like, we already had from the industrialized revolution everything we really, truly needed. Our communication systems. The world wouldn't be in this 5, 6G, 7G and higher now, or what have you, state, if it wasn't started here in this land first. And now what has happened? You want to bring out my dirty laundry? You want in this way or that way or what have you? I know I'm on the roll with this now, but you want to do all this and want to make it seem like the land is just totally bad, filled with fat cats and people who don't have, the people greedy or whatever the people want to look at them as, what have you. Listen, I'm in the United States. Well, this is my comedy show hour now. No? but see, this is what I'm just still saying. That normally, and these are my thoughts, I just couldn't see persons putting tariffs on such a level, on a high level, on such a high level, if already they didn't have everything that they needed within themselves in the first place. You see, and that's the way I'm telling you, the United States, whether people have forgotten it, is setup has been structured for many years. Now, from what I also understand, yeah, there's many businesses of the United States that are now in other lands. That's why, in another way, it's almost like, I don't know if tariffs always fully apply anymore with the way that the world economy is set up. But all the same, I'm just telling you that normally people think about raising their prices in this way or that way, when it really just doesn't matter whether these persons patronage them or not, because they already have everything that they need within themselves. Otherwise, if it's not set up in that way, of the way that I'm telling you, then I don't even see why to keep on making a big deal about this or that, because it's like, look, we're just continuing to hurt ourselves. And this is what I mean. I told you, if tariffs are already going on outside, what is this that I'm hearing in some cases? And I hope some people would do some reports on this, that if you happen to be a local official, then why all of a sudden are you going to add these extra taxes to this and that, when it's like, okay, you got this going on the federal level or what have you, and that's how you're dealing with other countries. Now, what are you trying to do to your state, to your community? You don't have to add it. And I'm saying what I mean on that. Now, some of you might be saying, what in the world he's talking about there? You know what? I guarantee you there's somebody that know exactly what I'm talking about. And I'm telling you, reference that podcast that I already made that talks about the eggs of the economy, and you'll get an even more deal going on. See, I want to keep on talking about this. What I mean is, when you're speaking up for what you need for you and your family, you know, you be respectful. And the difference that I, mentioned about God, his word says that he makes it rain, and for the crops to grow and for the sun to shine on everybody. And then it's like once it hits the earth, then you got all these different humans, some of them just totally motivated by greed and selfishness, where they put things on a high price level that it doesn't even have to be, because God, just like the ransom sacrifice, he gave it free. He gave it free. And he isn't offering any type of requirements for somebody to accept. All the same, in his new world, the stuff that we talked about today will be made more clearer in love, and people will appreciate it. Take care.